since this conflict began, the sounds that it was kind of like a constant reminder of what the situation is. I guess for us, the first 2 days, um, we had a lot of loud sounds, windows shaking. So we could see all the interception when we just look out of when we just look into the sky. Um, it is a strange feeling, seeing the defense system working right near us. Work-wise, since my company has been very good at it, very supportive. They always keep a check on us, and we've been working from home. The hardest part is the business, of course, where we have customers all around Middle East. UAE has been extremely amazing at it. They have made us like every now and then made us feel safe, made us feel protected. We could see that proof, when we just look up in the sky. My only worry is our parents who live back home because they watch media, which is not entirely true. And they call us, terrified. And we have to spend half of our time trying to comfort them, saying that, it's all safe here. My only prayer is now that, all this ends soon. And, no matter what the reasons are, or the priority should always be the safety of and the dignity of the innocent lives.
That's my sister-in-law in Dubai, speaking calmly but candidly about what she experienced that morning. When I heard this voice note, I realized something important. For millions of migrants living across the Gulf, the events of February 28th were not just news headlines. They were moments that interrupted daily life, routines, and the sense of stability many of us have built here. I've lived in the Gulf for years and I know how structured and predictable life can feel. But that morning, even calm reflection revealed something unexpected. How quickly a sense of normalcy can suddenly feel fragile. This episode was supposed to explore another topic entirely about migrant families and dependency. But after experiencing it firsthand and hearing about these experiences, I knew we needed to capture the story first. So over the next 15 minutes, you'll hear voice notes from friends and family across Bahrain, Dubai, and Doha, all describing, in their own calm and personal way, what life felt like in that moment and how they navigated. In Bahrain, many migrants were trying to process what was happening while checking on friends and family around them. My friends Divya and Shilu told me their experiences.
When the unrest in the Gulf region began, it felt very distant. The moment it became real for us was when the first air raid siren went off. We quickly started packing a few essentials. We reached the lift to go down, and that's when we heard the first bombing sound. That moment was very terrifying and it is still etched in my mind. And as soon as we rushed down to the car park and we were hearing continuous blasts, and all our neighbors were there down. People were all tense, they were panicking, there were debris all around. The entire atmosphere was filled with cotton or some sort of particles after the explosion. The air felt heavy, our eyes were hurting, we were inhaling all these particles. We didn't have mask because we ran down fast. No one thought of carrying down a mask. We went up again just to get some masks, and our entire thought process was focused on going somewhere far, just to stay away from this place, as we were residing at a very high risk region. From there on, it became kind of a journey. We were moving from one place to another, trying to stay from areas which were far away from the base or other high risk zones. In a strange way, there were also moments of comfort when we kept meeting our friends. We went to one friend's house, they treated us so well, they gave us We all prepared lunch together. Things were all sirens and missiles on one end, but the other end, it was just a happy, a good time with our friends. Then from there, we went to another friend's place. We stayed there for a while, and everyone was sharing their experiences, and we were realizing that everyone was trying to cope with the same fear and the uncertainty as what is happening or what could happen the next day or in the next few hours. Eventually, my family, my sister and her family, and a friend's family, we all found an apartment a little farther away. And honestly, it's been a week now, and being together for this long helped a lot emotionally. There was always someone available just to vent or just to simply talk some random things instead of sitting at our home, alone and just getting anxious about what is happening outside. This was actually a good decision to come together, to stay together, and to be in a more calm area. But still, that 1 week, some details that I still can remember were the nights. The nights were the hardest. The midnight sirens were especially frightening for the kids, and the loud blast during the first few days would wake them up. They would be crying. Even our dogs were extremely anxious. Their routine was completely disrupted, and they could sense the tension that was going around them. After these 7 days, we've completed about 7 days now. The fear of sounds have reduced a little, but a new worry has taken over now: the uncertainty of evacuation or repatriation. Now, Bahrain is where I was born and brought up, so it has always felt like home. And now, the thought that this war might force us to suddenly leave this place is something I'm still trying to process. I know we should take it a day by day, we should stay calm, things might settle down, but still the fear of something bad might happen tonight or tomorrow morning or in the next few days. I might have to leave the country. I, along with my family, would have to leave the country, totally, leaving all our belongings here and just moving out, maybe my dogs might be here. It's very terrifying. But still, we are clinging on to each other and hoping that all this will have a good ending and we all will be fine, we all will be safe, and we can continue a normal life after this as well.
What she described is something many migrants experienced in the first few hours after the news broke. People checking on each other, moving, running around, friends opening their homes, people deciding where they felt safest, staying that night or staying that week. But one of the realities of migrant life in the Gulf is that many people live far away from their immediate families. Parents are often in India or Philippines or Malaysia or elsewhere. Siblings are scattered across countries. So when something frightening happens here, migrants often turn to the communities they have built in this region. And suddenly friends become family, apartments become gathering spaces, people share food, updates, and reassurance. And sometimes the most important thing people offer each other is simply presence. Because in moments like this, fear is easier to carry when it is shared.
I've lived in the GCC for a very long time, and I've always felt like it's one of the safest places in the world. I honestly never imagined that something like this could happen here. The past few days have felt really unsettling. Even at that point when all of this was happening, we really thought that it would all be over in a day or two. But no, it hasn't stopped. The constant sirens and the explosions happening nearby have been really stressful. It's hard not to feel anxious when every loud sound makes you pause and wonder what's happening. And after like 3 days, I had to finally go back to work. And it did feel kind of weird or strange because we see many of us working on the normal day-to-day task when the explosions are also happening at the same time. Every time I hear one, I just pray that nobody gets hurt. I'm honestly just exhausted and really just want our peace back. At the same time, I feel incredibly grateful. So many friends have been constantly checking in on me over the past few days. Even people I haven't spoken to in ages reached out. And it truly meant a lot during such a stressful time. I really, really hope and pray that everything settles down soon and that peace returns.
For parents across the Gulf, the moment carried another layer of responsibility. Staying calm for children while trying to make sense of rapidly changing news. My brother in law Neil sent me a voice note from Dubai.
My own experience of the past week has been quite strange, and um, it all started last Saturday when the first attack happened in Bahrain. For me, it felt very unreal because apart from being there in the Gulf War, being in Saudi for I think it was a month. I was 5 or 6 years old during the Gulf War. I've never seen, but only heard about wars happening in other countries. Never really imagined that we would be somewhere in the epicenter of it all. It's something you never really expect to see in your life, but it suddenly becomes real. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and I have a duty to shield her from fear and from panic. So whenever something was happening, both me and Joe would stay calm. We'd act like this was nothing big. But we still have that fear inside of us that, oh my God, is it getting close? Will it stop? How long is this going to go on for? So those kind of thoughts, along with the duty of keeping us safe, yeah, it was kind of messy. And yeah, and on top of that, there's a lot of news channels trying to report what's happening. We've got social media, we've got WhatsApp forwards. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to know what is real and what's not, and what's just speculation. That uncertainty actually creates more anxiety than the whole situation itself. So, for example, my dad reads the news and then he calls me and he's all panicked. He's like, I heard this happened here and that happened there. Is it true? And first of all, we may not even have heard of what happened on that side, but that kind of an uncertainty is overwhelming at some point. What we know is UAE has been very strong when it comes to safety, security, and stability. Over the years, there's been a couple of situations in the region, but the country's always managed things very well and made sure that we as residents, regardless of being a citizen and expatriate, can continue to live lives peacefully. Another thing to remember is that the Indian community over here is huge and very well established. We've got millions of Indians working and living in the UAE, and most of us have been here for years or even decades. We built our careers here, our families here, and our kids go to school. So this place has actually become home. And when home is protected by people who run the UAE government, we feel safe.
Listening to him reminded me of something else. For some migrants, this moment is not completely new. Some people living in the Gulf today remember earlier conflicts in the region. For example, the Gulf War of 1991. Moments when geopolitical tension suddenly entered everyday life. But many younger migrants in the Gulf who are living right now, the second and third generation, have never experienced something like this before. And what made this moment particularly stressful is the uncertainty. Information moving rapidly across social media, conflicting reports, rumors spreading faster than facts. When people don't know what is happening, the mind begins filling the gaps with fear. And for parents especially, the instinct is immediate: to protect their children, to stay calm, to try to make sense of what is happening. For migrants who live far from their families, moments like this create a different kind of anxiety. Your life is here, but your loved ones are watching events unfold from thousands of kilometers away. My friend Archana, who is also a Malaysian migrant, speaks about her experience.
So, honestly, the past few days have been really heavy. It's a strange feeling because when you move somewhere, you're thinking about building a life, right? You're not really imagining living through something like a war. And now it's just kind of always there in the background. I'm checking on my phone a lot, checking the news, messaging friends and family to see if everyone's okay. For me, the hardest part is probably thinking what will happen next, because when you're a migrant, you're already living between two places. Um, and right now, my family back home is worried about us. And at the same time, I'm trying to stay calm for my family. And there's also this extra layer of uncertainty, I guess, because this is not technically your home country. But we are still trying to keep some normal routine. I'm working, my husband's working, and carrying on with our daily life. But everything feels a little different. There's this quiet tension that's really hard to explain. So I think more than anything, it just makes you realize how fragile stability can be, because you build a life somewhere and suddenly things feel a bit uncertain. And I'm also thinking about the other migrants here who are living alone. I mean, I have my husband's family and my friends here, but there are people who live alone and people who feel alone during this time, and they don't have their support systems with them. So I guess being a migrant adds another layer. We are trying to keep our life together, but we don't have full control. And some days I'm thinking about exit plans or what would I do if things escalated. And of course, I worry about my family a lot back home, more than I probably should. So emotionally, it's a roller coaster. Some days I feel calm, and the other days is when the anxiety sneaks in. Maybe after reading the news or listening to all these sounds and getting messages from people checking if I'm okay. But I guess what this has taught me is resilience, I guess. You figure out how to make a little stability inside yourself. And you notice this quiet empathy forming between people around you. Everyone's carrying their own worries, their own family concerns, and their own fears.
What she captures is something deeply familiar to many migrants. When you live abroad, you are emotionally connected to two places at the same time. Your life is here, your work is here, but your family is somewhere else. So, when something happens in the region, the anxiety multiplies. You're trying to understand what is happening around you. And at the same time, you're receiving messages and calls from home. Parents asking if you're safe, relatives watching the news and imagining the worst. And for many migrants, there is another quiet realization in moments like this, that while you may have lived in the Gulf for years, sometimes decades, this place still isn't your home. And in times of uncertainty, that distance becomes even more visible. One of the themes that appeared again and again in the voice notes people sent me was uncertainty and stress. People checking their phones constantly, refreshing news apps, trying to understand what might happen next. But also, people trying to do something else, trying to return to their normal life, go to work, meet friends, continue routines. Because sometimes routine becomes the only way to manage uncertainty. Life continues, but the emotional atmosphere feels different. Listening to all these voice notes over the past few days has been deeply emotional for me because they reveal something that statistics and headlines rarely show: the human experience of migration during uncertainty. For many migrants, the Gulf has always represented opportunity and stability. People have come here to build careers, support families, create better futures. And those dreams still exist. But moments like this remind us how fragile stability can sometimes feel, especially for migrants who live far from home. But amidst all this, it is important that we manage the stress of the situation, finding ways to stay calm and support each other. And several people I spoke to also reflected this. Here is my friend Maddie. She is a Pakistani migrant. She shares how people are managing stress and trying to maintain daily routines.
First of all, I'd like to let everyone know that they're not alone. And those who are checking in on each other on a daily basis, they're doing a really good job making sure that those around them are being safe and are mentally okay, especially those who have panic attacks and those with anxiety issues. It really makes it hard for them to, uh, you know, feel safe or know that there are people out there looking out for them. Me being a migrant here in Bahrain, my whole life, I've been born and raised in Bahrain. It's actually quite sad to know that this has been happening to our country, a country that's given us so much, a country that's made us discover and find ourselves. I mean, I just want to tell everyone out there that they're not alone, and we have a lot of helplines. We have our own friends. We have family that are looking out for each other. Even though some of our families, I mean, most of our families are abroad and they're checking in on us. And I feel that we should just hang in there and just be strong and pray, because prayers are the only thing that's gonna save us right now.
I want to take this moment to thank everyone who shared their experiences with me, all my family and friends who sent voice notes from across the Gulf. Your honesty and calm reflections made this episode possible, and I'm deeply grateful for your trust. I hope this episode opens a conversation. If you are listening to this and you are also a migrant in the Gulf, I would really like to hear from you. Please feel free to reach out and share your experiences and emotions. In the coming weeks, I plan to also speak to analysts and regional experts to help us understand what this moment might mean for migrants in the region. And hopefully, the next episode will be the one I originally planned, the conversations we hope to have during more peaceful times. Until then, stay safe. I'm Ria Abraham, and this is Gulf Diaspora.